right? You shouldn't need like a developer to do this because you don't know how. Because what happens if you get a prospect that right here, right now, wants to jump on a phone call with you and wants to see that you're an expert, but yet you can't show him over the shoulder how this is done?
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no-bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
All right, so next up is our foot in the door offer. And again, what I want to make sure is super clear is all of this stuff should line up. Right? If we're trying to sell this SEO agency services that we just mocked up, we obviously want to ensure that our foot in the door puts people in a prime position and a prime buying environment to buy our core offer. If it doesn't do that, and we then have to explain what it is and what we do and prove ourselves after we give our foot in the door service, we've blown it all. So when you're thinking about your foot in the door, it has to naturally lead into your core offer, okay? The best place typically to start with this is to really look at your core offer and think about the deliverables that you have in your core offer and splinter out and separate out a couple of the options. Look, if you're gonna do something for 90% of your prospects in month 1, 2, or 3, and you can move that out as a foot in the door product, and that sets you up as an expert and it brings goodwill to you, and it's really super easy to do, then why wouldn't you do that? You're gonna do it later if you win them as a client anyway, right? So first and foremost is that has to naturally lead into your core offer, okay? So next up, for me, this has evolved over time, but for me, this really has to be done in an hour or less, okay? And ideally, this should be able to be done by you, not by a specialist, okay? Or it should be able to be done by a VA, right? You shouldn't need like a developer to do this because you don't know how. Because what happens if you get a prospect that right here, right now, wants to jump on a phone call with you and wants to see that you're an expert, but yet you can't show him over the shoulder how this is done, okay? This needs to be simple, okay? And one of the criteria that is newer for me when it comes into the foot in the door is I'd really like to be able to do this live. Meaning if I can reach out to a prospect and I can say, look, you have this problem. Here's why it's a problem, right? It's a problem, but it's an opportunity. And if you can fix this, this is going to be one step in the right direction to help you get this result. Who's going to tell you no, right? I'm happy to jump on a phone call with you and do it with you. They say yes, you on the call can then showcase your expertise. Okay, you can start building rapport with them and they can see that you truly are an expert, not that you just had some VA do it behind the scenes. So this, give you a little detail, and I don't want you guys to overthink your foot in the door. When you start, this is good enough criteria for a foot in the door. Longer term though, if you are going to have salespeople helping you, I think that long term, it's great to implement this process just as is. Give the foot in the door offer away. Mr. Prospect, here's the problem. Here's the opportunity. If you fix it, I'm happy to fix it. You get on a call with them. You help them fix it. While you're fixing it, you're building rapport, right? Then you're done and you're like, now let me, would you like, Mr. Prospect, if I'd share with you how to, right, 10x the results of your Google Maps campaign, right? Or your Google local campaign, or your SEO campaign. And you go into basically what you do in your package, right? And you build the plan. Here's what you should be doing. Here's what you're not, right? And then at the end, they're naturally going to ask how you can help them. So the only time that I like to complicate this sales funnel is if it's working. I'll add one thing here that for me has made a big difference in one of my agencies. The other agency wasn't like this, or my other agencies weren't like this, but in one of my agencies, we had a paid upsell to the foot in the door. Okay, so we would, for example, we would help them do a GMB optimization And if they said, yes, I want you to do that, then we could potentially upsell them the next thing for a couple $100. So typically what we would do here, and I talk about this in some of my paid training and go into it in much more detail, but we would do something from anywhere from $100 to $500, $100 to $500. And the reason that we do this can be completely self-liquidating then. If we end up offering this and we're working with a sales team, we can pay out the sales team potentially up to 100% of this $100 to $500 every time they sell it. And then we don't have to pay out the sales team on the $1,000 plus a month recurring. So if there's a way that we can monetize the front end and have a self-liquidating offer and pay our sales team and pay our prospecting and pay our ads or however we're getting the deal, if we can pay for that before we ever even get to the core offer, that's obviously a win. Okay, the only piece of advice that I'm giving you is don't overcomplicate the sales cycle to start. If it's just you, don't throw that in to start. Start with just a free foot in the door, build rapport, get to know the customers, get to know the ideal prospects, figure out the problems, figure out the opportunities, and then go from there. All right, so we got the core offer, we got the ideal prospects, we got then a foot in the door offer. We talked about that criteria. Let's talk about what the foot in the door offer could be for our local SEO, local marketing package, if you will, that we've put out so far. Based upon what I've set up and what we've come up with so far. So again, ideally we can show that there's a problem and that there's an opportunity. Okay, if they fix that problem, ideally that can be done pretty quickly. And ultimately, we can do that over the phone would be a big win. Let's put it this way. What could we do in terms of Google My Business or SEO that somebody could see a significant lift, right, from our work, where we can do that on the call with a customer? And I don't know what the answer is. I'm just brainstorming with you guys, but this is what you got to think about. You're thinking like this is your first interaction with the prospect. What the heck do you do, right? Like you want to have the best, you want to, in 30 minutes, position yourself the best way possible. What's going to position you the best way possible? I think results in advance, obviously. Whatever adds the most value, right? What if you simply offered call tracking as a foot in the door? Okay, or maybe it was the upsell to the foot in the door. Okay, what if you could, whether they have citations or not, go right into the GMB listing, add a tracking phone number, and then be able to share the results with them. Look, Mr. Business Owner, I see that you're already ranking in maps, but I don't think you're actually tracking calls. Let me help you with that. Right? You could just sign them up and then be an affiliate for one of the other platforms too. Right? But then you go in a consultative type of role. I actually really like that. The category thing, by the way, is big. Most local businesses in terms of Google Maps have shit the bed, so to speak, with their categories. Yeah, so you could add Q&A into the GMB. Let's see, what else? Business photos, double check the hours of operation, the business info and the description. Yeah, I mean, most of this stuff is never really thought out very well. And so if you just had like a 10-point checklist here, respond to reviews, teach them how to respond to reviews, okay? You could do free SSLs, right? So if they don't have an SSL, you could do that. You could definitely do schema, okay? If we're going after people that are spending money on advertising, even if you're not going to do Google ads, you could potentially find some problems with that, right? So in terms of Google ads, like negative keyword check, this one's funny. So you could do like worst plumber in or whatever, worst whatever in the city that you're going after. That's a big one. Cool. So you guys got the point. The thing is to make sure that you focus on the value, right? And don't be too obsessive with your foot in the door offer. Get out there and start testing it. Get out there and play with it. Talk to customers, make the offer to fix something and test it with your prospects. Okay. It could be 2 or 3 things that you bundle together and you just rattle through. And it could be just kind of a little mini audit that you help them through. And then when you reach out, you say, there's these 5 things that are wrong.
Thanks for tuning in and showing me the nuggets. If you've been enjoying the podcast and find our content helpful, please visit our Apple Podcast page, hit the subscribe button, and leave us a review. Joe and the whole team have been working hard to bring more value to the show. Your feedback will go a long way in helping us make the show better and reach a wider audience.